Hello, ladies and gents. I am Theodora, and I will present you perspectives by my own perspective. We see the world as we are. Reality is very complex. Two equal valid observations from different perspectives can look contradictory. Look at the man in the picture. They look at the same digit, but they see different numbers. No one is right, no one is wrong, but they are different. Let me explain you how perspectives are formed. You can't have everything. Where would you put it? And because we are restricted in seeing and feeling everything, our personality is the sum of the experience that define the shape and the shades of our life perspective. I believe that there are two factors that can dramatically change people's vision. Physical factors like color blindness, being deaf, being truly talented. Emotional factors like love, abuse, bullying. I would like to show you an example of a physical factor, color blindness. People who are colorblind have a difficulty in distinguishing certain colors. There are several types of color blindness, but the person in our example has seen all his life the world like in the second picture. I would like to make a note here, please. 40% of the men in the world have a problem distinguishing the color red, and they don't know about it. So guys, maybe it's time for you to go to an eye doctor. Going back on my subject, let's see what is happening when he is seeing for the first time the world as we do. In a second, the whole world has changed for him. He realized that the world is not just pale and similar colors. He realized why his wife was so delighted when she was receiving flowers. But he had a chance that not everybody has. He saw the world from another angle, another perspective. On the other side, emotional abuse is a greater influence. How would you explain to a woman whose words never counted, whose decision never had a voice, who's so used to fights and beating as we are used to hugs, that the world can be a beautiful place to grow as an emotional being, keeping in mind that there are no magical glasses? Imagine for a second how a discussion between two people with their circumstances being in contrast would look like. Between a brilliant student and a struggling student. Between a woman that has always been sick and a woman that has always been healthy. Between a man that is dedicated to sport and a man who lives to eat. Between a loved child and an abused child. Between a dancer and an invalid person. Between a loved woman and an abused woman. Between a wealthy man and a poor man. When we are defending our position in a discussion, our natural instinct is to start with the arguments that make sense for us. We are sure that our understanding, our viewpoint, is the only one that touches the truth. There is not only one truth. It's your truth, it makes sense to you and for the people with the same perspective. This does not mean that you are wrong, and this does not mean that the other person is wrong either. We should take a moment, breathe, and try to understand how the other person got to that conclusion. Building on your understanding of their perspective, help the other person to change their viewpoint. One of my favorite saying is, we have 2 ears and only one mouth, so we can listen more and speak less. Because speaking, you just repeat what you already know, while listening can teach you a million things. Let me put you in contrast a general situation between a positive, a happy person, and a negative, an unhappy person. I will not discuss any particular situations like a loved woman and an abused woman, or a man dedicated to sport and a food lover, as I might touch sensitive areas from our lives. Positive, they know perspective is everything. Negative, they think perspective is just a word used by lucky people. Positive, they know that their opinion on life shapes the reality of their days. Negative, they don't realize that they have an opinion and is certain that this is just how their life is playing out. Positive, they obligate themselves to silver linings and trust that closed doors are there for a reason. Negative, they focus on the negative outcome and become angry when things don't go as they wished. Positive, they know some days will be harder than others, but those days last as long as they allow. Negative, they unknowingly wake up every morning choosing to make their life as hard as possible. In our day-by-day life, we tend to commute between the two states. But when we are trying to understand or discuss with somebody else, our predominant side will lead the arguments. I need to underline that none of these two persons is right or wrong. Life is happening, and we are there to observe and absorb in our own way. I once cried because I had no shoes for soccer, but then I met a man with no feet. I know you heard this quote from many important names like Zidane, Gandhi, and in many movies, but it's not important who said it. It's important to feel and understand these words because they describe the moment when a person is changing their perspective. Being able to understand that everyone sees the world different is the key of a relaxed mind, of a successful social life, of a happy marriage. Basically, is the key of a wonderful life where you can make memories. Every time you meet a new person or you are trying to resonate with someone you can't understand, remember that behind every face there is a story. Remember that you don't know how it is to walk in their shoes. Remember to listen. Remember to understand and help people who are crying for help. And remember to give the best of you. We don't need to judge. We don't need to win arguments. We don't need to be right. We need to understand and we need to learn. Remember that life is happening and all you have is a perspective. Thank you very much for your attention, and I hope my words will change you in a positive way. And I hope my presentation was interesting enough. If it wasn't, I hope you had a really great nap. Thank you again. I am Theodora, and I am opening to any questions or comments you may have.